prayers. Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Kunja Bihari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Yashodhanandana Braja Janaranjana Yashodhanandana Braja Janaranjana Yashodhanandana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jaya Radha Radhe Radhanata Radhe Jaya Radha Radhanata Jaya Radhe Jaya Radhe Jaya Radhe Jaya Shri Radhe Jaya Radhe Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Jaya Prabhupada. Their Lordship Shri Shri Radha Radhanath Ki Jai, Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai, Gaur Premanande, Hari Hari Bol. Hare Krishna. So this morning we are reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, and we're going to try one more time with our technology, and hopefully it will cooperate with us. If not, then we can find the verse on our mobile phone, and that's the beauty of we carry it around. All Srila Prabhupada's texts, purports, everything's in our pockets. So you're welcome to pull out the Veda base on your mobile device. But let's hope the TV does. Yes, we're getting there. Please repeat. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Thank you. So this morning we are reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, the 4th canto, chapter 24 and text 47 to 48. Priti prahasita apangam alaika rupa sobhitam alaika rupa Lasat pankaja kinjalka, lasat pankaja. Dhukulam rista kundalam, spurhurit kirti valaya, hara nupura mekhalam, Sanka Chakra Gada Padma Mala Mam Utamar Dinmat. Transliteration. Prithi, merciful. Prahisita, smiling. Apangam, sidelong glance. Akaila, with curling hair. Rupa, beauty. Sobhitam, increased. Lasat, glittering. Pankaja, of the lotus. Kinjalka, saffron. Dukulam, clothing. Mritsta, glittering. Kundalam, earrings. Spurhut, shiny. Kirita, helmet. Valaya, bangles. Hara, necklace. Nupura, ankle bells. Mekhalam, belt. Sankha, conch shell. Chakra, wheel. Gadha, club, Padma, lotus flower, mala, garland, money, pearls, Uttama, first class, Ridhimat, still more beautified on account of this. Translation, transliteration, and purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Translation. The Lord is super excellently beautiful on account of his open and merciful smile and his sidelong glance upon his devotees. His black hair is curly and his garments, waving in the wind, appear like flying saffron pollen from lotus flowers. His glittering earrings, shining helmet, bangles, garland, ankle belts, waist belt, and various other bodily ornaments combined with conch shell, disc, club, and lotus flower to increase the natural beauty of the Kaustubha pearl on his chest. Purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. The word prahasita apanga, referring to Krishna's smile and sidelong glances at his devotees, specifically applies to his dealings with the gopis. Krishna is always in a joking mood when he increases the feelings of conjugal rasa in the hearts of the gopis. The conch shell, club, disc, and lotus flower can either be held in his hands or seen on the palm of his hands. According to palmistry, the signs of the conch shell, club, lotus flower, and disc mark the palms of great personalities and especially indicate the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Translation, the Lord is super excellently beautiful on account of his open and merciful smile and his sidelong glance upon his devotees. His black hair is curly and his ornaments waving in the wind appear like flying saffron pollen from lotus flowers. His glittering earrings, shining helmet, bangles, garland, ankle belts, waist belt, and various other bodily ornaments combined with conch shell, disc, club, and lotus flower to increase the natural beauty of the Kaustubha pearl on his chest. Nama Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimati Bhaktivedanta Swami Iti Namine Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Prachadine Vishesha Sunyavadi Paskatya Desatarine Om Jnana Timidandasya Gyananjana Salakaya Chakshurun Militam Jena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manoblistam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupam Gadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunatanvitam Dam Sajivam Sadvaitam Sarvadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopisha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namastute Tapta Kanchana Gaurange Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sutadevi Pranamami Hari Priye He Krishna Vanchakapata Rubhyascha Kripa Sindhu Bevacha Patitanan Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Shri Gaura Bhaktivinoda Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So we pray for blessings from the Vaishnavas so that I'm able to speak something that is pleasing to the heart and that will please the devotees and the acharyas, especially Srila Prabhupada. Hare Krishna. So once again, thank you all for being here this morning. And we are continuing with these beautiful prayers of Lord Shiva. And how beautiful is this description that is given to us of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Just as I was driving here this morning, and I was thinking, as the sun was rising, and it was a warm, beautiful day. And how fortunate are we to be able to have this facility to come to the Radha Radhanath temple, take darshan of Krishna in the beautiful form. And as the verse is expressing, these prayers that Lord Krishna is the ultimate beauty. So Vidura actually inquired from Maitreya Muni, as we know, and as we've been unpacking and sharing about this for a while now, about the different incarnations and the different forms of Lord Krishna. And in this way, we are informed of the different forms of Krishna. And if we look around us, even in this beautiful temple room, we see that Krishna has many different pastimes. And when he has these many different pastimes, he comes in different forms to fulfill these pastimes. So Vidura says, my dear Maitreya Muni, please inform me of the different forms, the different avatars. And he is looking forward to hearing from them. And I like to hear this nectar, this amrita. I like to hear this nectar. And the more I hear about it, the more it is pleasing to my heart. So please speak about the divine Lord, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Please describe his beauty to me. Describe his forms. Describe these avatars. So Maitreya Muni then started speaking, and then the sons, who we know as the Prachitas, they wanted to perform austerities, and therefore because in life, many of us go through different rituals in life in terms of, we call it rites of passage, right? When we come to a point of life where we want to now renounce. So we start reflecting, we start thinking, we start maybe offering extra prayers, different austerities. And then we say, okay, please can you open the path for us to enter the next phase of life? Perhaps it's also upon marriage. And this often happens when you are at that marriageable age and you want to find, engage with a partner, settle down in Grihastha ashram. And it is said that, when you perform certain austerities, then Krishna just opens up your path, gives you a good partner, gives you a loving home, and then you beget children. So in this mood, they are talking about these austerities. The sons are talking about now saying, we want to get married to have children. And this is all going on around a big lake, and that's where Lord Shiva appears, and he informs them about these prayers to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And Lord Shiva also is one of, such a personality that he is meditating on the Supreme. He is meditating on Lord Krishna. And when anyone approaches him, even with material desires, he says, okay, I fulfill. Why is he doing that? Because he does not want his meditation to be disturbed. So what he does was, okay, even if this material desire comes about and somebody's coming knocking on my door and saying, Lord Shiva, please, I'd like this and have this desire. And Lord Shiva says, but you're disturbing my meditation upon Sri Krishna. So he just gives it like that because his bhajan is not going to be disturbed. His prayer, he's meditating on Krishna and he just grants those desires. But when the sons have come to performing this tapasya and these austerities, Lord Shiva himself appears. He appears to now say, you know what, this is the mantra, this is the glorification, this is the prayers to the Supreme Person. So what to speak of any other austerity, what to speak of any other tapasya, when you are now meditating on the Supreme Personality of Godhead, that's when the prayers unfold. And now he is describing the glories of the beauty of Sri Krishna. So there's different prayers that we find in the Srimad Bhagavatam. And one is prayers in glorification of the Supreme Person. And there's another one, there's prayers with desires, and then there's devotees begging forgiveness as well. So there's different forms of prayers that we find in the Srimad Bhagavatam. The Rudra Gita, that of Lord Shiva actually here, these prayers are in praise of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So the prayers that unfold are in praise. So today's verse, Lord Shiva is informing us about Krishna's beauty, about the fifth form, the Archa Vigraha, the form of the deity, form of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. We are also fortunate enough because we are able to take darshan of the deity, right? It's not just in the mind's eye where we create the superficial illusion to say that Krishna, this is your form, this is how you look, and so on. We are able to come and take physical, personal darshan at the temple. Now, the difference is that this form of Lord Krishna is here for us, and we spoke about this the last time as well. It is so beautiful, but when we look at the deity, are we looking with the consciousness and the open heart where we receive that beauty of the deity? Or are we just looking at something and saying, there you are, Krishna, but are we connecting? Are we feeling the mood of what Srila Prabhupada and Lord Shiva has offered us? How is the smile of the Lord? The verse before this is actually very, very beautiful as well, because it shares with us that in the previous verse of this text 46, in his descriptions of Krishna's beauty, Lord Shiva uses the words indicating the beauty of the four-armed form of Narayan or Vishnu. And that's where we talk about the lotus, the conch, the disc, right? And the chakra. Those who worship Lord Krishna describe him in such a way. In the Vishnu Tattva, there are hundreds and thousands and millions of forms of the Supreme Lord. But all of these forms, the form of Krishna is the most beautiful. Thus far, those who worship Krishna know loving him with his four-armed forms of Vishnu with different purposes. His hand holding a lotus flower and conch shell are meant for the devotees, whereas the other two hands holding a disc and a mace or club are meant for demons. Actually, all the Lord's arms are auspicious, whether they are holding conch shells and flowers or clubs and discs. The demons killed by Lord Vishnu's chakra, disc and club are elevated to the spiritual world, just like the devotees who are protected by the hands holding the lotus flower of the conch shell. So again here there is an explanation of how Krishna is holding these different symbols, and it follows on through to the text that we are reading this morning, that one or the two are for devotees and the other two are for demons. But remember also, when we looked at the form of Lord Nishingadev and how he killed Hiranyakashipu, at that time, Hiranyakashipu was also liberated because he was killed at the hands of the Supreme Person. So he himself became liberated. Now, many of us who have traveled to Sri Vrajadham, Sri Goloka Vrindavan, you would have walked through the alleys and you would have seen some of the beauty that remains today. Unfortunately, it's getting busier. There's more hustle and bustle, and things have changed in terms of becoming a little bit more of a concrete jungle instead of the beauty, the real lush Vrindavan. And now perhaps sometimes we say we need to go further in to Govardhan to experience what Vrindavan is about. So I often reflect in my first trip to Sri Vrindavan Dham when I was 8 years old. So my mind I rely on that a little bit and think back thereafter as to all those years that we've been fortunate enough to travel to Vrindavan and enjoy that spirit. So on our first parikram, many, many years ago, it was Dinabandhu Prabhu who took us on parikram to the different temples. And as a little girl of 8, it was austere. right? At that time, India was so austere. Vrindavan was very austere. And I can remember that austerity still, because there wasn't luxury in terms of a comfortable place to stay and so on as we experience now. And we went to the different areas, and Dinabandhu Prabhu was sharing these beautiful pastimes, describing how Lord Krishna used to play in those fields. And right here, as their Lordship Shri Shri Radha Radhanath Ki Jai, Srimad Mahaprabhu Ki Jai, Giriraj Gaurvardhan Ki Jai, Gaur Premanande Hari Hari Bol. So as here we could see that the gopis and Krishna loved to play. And this verse, the translation says, the Lord is super excellently beautiful on account of his open and merciful smile and his sidelong glance upon his devotees. And that sidelong glance is more especially to attract the gopis. They had this conjugal relationship, this conjugal rasa. And what had happened is that because they were elders there, they couldn't really indulge in this conjugal rasa, lila. And Krishna used to attract the gopis with his sidelong glance, with his beautiful sidelong glance. And what they'd do is they'd use a certain excuse, can I use that word, to go out and herd the cows. So when the gopis and Krishna and the cowherd boys used to go out to the fields to Goloka, Vrindavan, and they'd go onto the fields and enjoy the rasa, that's when they were free of the elders. So Krishna would then charm them. Krishna would then charm them with his beauty, with his adornments, with all his waist belt, his peacock feather, his glistening eyes, and the beautiful description of the Supreme Person. And the gopis loved him so much, right? They just fell for his beauty, leave alone anything else. Then when they hear his flute, they'd rush to, where is this little Krishna? Where is he? And they'd want to enjoy this conjugal relationship, this Rasa Leela. So Lord Shiva here describes to us, and Radhanath Swami Maharaj, who was speaking about this relationship of attachment. And Radhanath Swami was speaking so beautifully in a sense where we can all identify with this, that if a young devotee wants to give up his family life or join the temple, right? So a young person wants to join the temple, and there's some sadness by the family. Family says, how can he leave us and go and stay at the temple? How can she go? What are we going to do? We're not going to see him or her every day. The routine is going to be off. And there's, sometimes there's a protest by the family to say, this is our child. This is a person that we have at home. And there's that love, there's tears, there's sadness, there's real intense separation. Radhanath Maharaj explains, imagine if that separation happens in human form between parent and child, what to speak about between the gopis and Lord Krishna. So when Krishna finally leaves, the gopis feel extreme separation. What we speak about if we go away for a few days or a few weeks, or if you move to a different area, there's so much of separation. I miss you. When are you coming back home? When am I going to speak to you again? When am I going to see you again? And there's that mood of separation. But we as human beings, we are mortal. What to speak about the gopis' relationship to Krishna? And here it is said that it is very, very, very difficult to understand this love. But if we look at it just from our point of view as humans, we can understand minute bit of how the separation is. So when we think of the beautiful Radha and Krishna, we approach them with reverence. It is described in the Brahma Samhita as well that this beautiful form of Krishna is there for us to actually indulge our senses. And as the arati is being performed right now, there's different offerings to the deity of the Supreme Person. Why is it such? For many reasons. But one of the reasons, it's for us to indulge our senses. The incense is there. The flower comes around to all of us thereafter to actually take in the scent after being offered. The fan is there to offer a cool breeze to their lordships. It's also there for us to actually feel cool. Right? The water is sprinkled upon us. We feel that as a part of our senses. So all our senses is indulged according to the offering to the Supreme Person. Now we find that our senses of eyes, right, for us to see the Supreme and to take in this divine form and His glory, we need to have a clear consciousness in order to really see the beauty. So today, if we look at Krishna, he's got his curly black hair, right? He's got his beautiful turban with his peacock feather. He's got his flute in his hand, a beautiful garland, and standard of worship is impeccable at Radha. The beautiful gopi, Srimati Radharani, standing next to him. He's happy, right? Now, can we approach him in the mood of reverence? Approach Srimati Radharani in the mood to really see their beauty, to become captivated by their beauty, to see the glistening eyes, the waist belt, the ankle belt, to see the beautiful smile that he gives and at the sidelong glance, and his garments, the saffron color. Oh, what a pleasure to see that color as well, saffron color on their lordships, flying the saffron pollen from lotus flowers. His garments are flying. His glistening earrings, shining helmet, bangles, garlands, ankle belts, waist belt. Do we take notice of all those beautiful details? Now the Lord's on the altar. Imagine this form playing with the gopis. Would we not like to be a part of that divine conjugal relationship? Can we not just watch on the sidelines as well? So as described here, there's an unlimited form of the Lord. The transcendental form, as we see here, is described by Lord Shiva. But in a conditioned state, we are forgetful of understanding how beautiful the Lord is, because we have the absence of a loving heart. We come here, the sentiment of love is covered by Maya, it is covered by illusion, and Lord Shiva is expressing that we want to see this divine form. Going into detail, and Srila Prabhupada here explains as well in the purports of the verses before this and after, how beautiful it is to actually satisfy the senses in the complete way. We've discussed previously as well that when it comes to satisfying our senses, it is there in just a temporary manner. Everything in this material world is temporary. You come through a phase, you complete the phase, you go to the next phase. You know, it is like that pot of honey. I'm thinking about Winnie the Pooh at the moment. And the pot of honey, and that big pot of honey is there, and then once you achieve that, it's the pot of honey just moves a little further. We're never satisfied in the material world, are we? Right? There's always something more to achieve. There's always a further desire. There's always something that we come as the Srimad Bhagavatam here. There's different types of prayers. We approach the Lord with prayers. We ask Him for things. We say, can our path be clearer? Can something good happen in our lives, and so on. But do we really, really approach the Lord with a heart of saying, I am yours. I am yours, and do with me as you please. Radhanath Swami as well also mentions that in this material world, we become infatuated with beauty. I don't know if we remember young days of beauty, the teenagehood, right? Now there's lots of Botox, there's different types of aesthetics that people, although we age, and aging is a natural process, but we try to look younger, don't we? We invest money in procedures to look younger. Perhaps those wrinkles are there, and or even now there's products that are being sold to say, no, your wrinkles are not there at the moment, but they are forming from under the different layers of skin. It's coming up, so buy the product, start now. So it delays the look of aging. And that product is sold to you. Different formulations, different brands, and people, consumers, you and I, we buying those products because we are age-defying products. You've heard that term before, right? It's now the onset of aging, we're delaying it because we're afraid of how we're going to look if there's little lines on our face. How the world is going to see us, right? And this is the human form. So when we're younger, we become also, I shouldn't say that by age, but there's lots of infatuation in this material world, right? Where beauty takes over intelligence. And when we look at a person who's beautiful, we become, wow, infatuated by beauty. And our senses come into play. But when Krishna glances upon us, everything is perfected, the ultimate beauty. And in spiritual life, Srila Prabhupada has given us all of this, that all sense enjoyment directed to the Supreme Personality of Godhead can be fulfilled without any disappointment. So when he glances upon us, and the love that penetrates our soul, that is the ultimate love that will never disappoint. The soul is then awakened. But the only way that he will give us that sidelong glance that this verse is describing, according to giving the sidelong glance to the gopis, is when we approach him with a heart of purity, with a heart of devotion. Actually, recently there was an interview with Michelle Obama. And the lady who interviewed her on a podcast had actually asked her, but you have very strong spiritual beliefs. And in the American sense, being a first lady, and they spoke about different aspects of being a first lady in America of color, and how did she fit into the White House. And she said, well, she really, really had a lot of faith in her prayer. So the lady who interviewed Michelle Obama then asked her, but how do you know that God exists in your life? How do you know? Because you say it's prayer. And all she said was, I have faith. And she said it with such conviction. And this was the first lady in America who spoke about her faith in God. And she said that every single day she sees God's hand in her life. Why? Because she's grateful for the experiences that she's had. And she said she had a tough time integrating, even with staff in the White House, because she was a lady of color, right, coming in. And she said, but she saw God's hand in how her life has progressed. And therefore, her faith was unshakable. And here, in that way, when we approach the Supreme Person with faith, with conviction, with a heart full of love, that grateful heart, Krishna will give us that sidelong glance. And once we are captivated by his love, nothing can shake us in this material world, because we are attracted by the all-attractive. So when we depend and everything, we understand that everything happens by Krishna's arrangement. When we come into the temple room and we have a heart full of gratitude, we see Mahaprabhu dancing there. And we see that these forms of the deity are not just standing as statues or whatever we call them in the material world, but they are there for us to actually take in the beauty, take in by our senses. The Srimad Bhagavatam also is eternal, like we're speaking now. It's eternal. Srila Prabhupada's given us this. We have it on our phones, as we said earlier. Radhanath Swami was also describing, and I felt this really touched me, because at any phase in our life, we can go through this. He was describing that his god sister, Kunti Devi, she was actually dying of cancer. And She went through quite a difficult time in her life. She had good health, but then cancer had come and it was taken over her entire body. And when Radhanath Swami eventually got to go visit her, he saw that she had, even her spine, had disintegrated. She couldn't sit up. She had little to no mobility. Her eyes were yellow. Her complexion was dull. She couldn't eat on her own. And she was, she really was frail. And she wanted to pick up a book. She wanted to pick up the Bhagavatam. But her hands were so brittle. Radhanath Swami describes that he was seated there. And her hands were so brittle that she couldn't raise the book to read. And here we are we take so much for granted that we're able to walk into the temple room. We have mobility. We're able to offer our obeisances. We're able to hear and concentrate. Sometimes when you are so ill that you are able to hear but you cannot comprehend. So Kunti Devi couldn't hold the book. And what had happened is that someone brought her a laptop, a computer. So placed it on the tray table before her so she could just move her hand and scroll through different verses and different chapters that were found. So she didn't have to really physically hold because her body wasn't allowing her to do so. And when Radhanath Swami then saw her again and she had the computer in front of her, she was ecstatic. She was the happiest he had ever seen her. And he looked surprised and he exchanged some words with his god sister Kunti Devi. And he asked her, but you are looking so blissful. You are seeming so awakened. And she said, yes, I am on the river banks of the Yamuna River. I am seated there. And I am personally, Srila Prabhupada's talking to me through his purports. She felt that ecstasy. And Radhanath Swami Maharaj explained that he could see from his first visit to her how pale and how she looked. But when she was really, really just scrolling through the purports of the different verses from Bhagavatam, her whole mood had changed, yet she was literally on her deathbed. But because she then approached these verses and the transcendental sound vibration with such a pure heart, Krishna spoke back to her. And she said, I am there, I am grateful. And Krishna is revealing himself to me through these verses. There's unlimited nectar, Karuna Sindhu, and that's the ocean of mercy that the Supreme Personality is. But we as human beings, we are fighting this off, right? We do not want to embrace, we want to go out and enjoy. We have, Krishna is so kind to us. And I see this more and more. When we look for his kindness, we see it. But when we close it off, we find that, life's difficult, isn't it? But when we say life's difficult because Krishna wants us to come closer to him, it changes our entire perspective. So even the world is in real chaos for different reasons. Today, as we said previously, that ahead of the G20 summit, there is a national shutdown for gender-based violence. You would have heard about this. And I am particularly wearing black in solidarity with having a voice for all those women who have been abused. In South Africa, the statistics are appalling. And just last night, it was our president, Cyril Ramaphosa, who had actually made an announcement that he's now accepted that South Africa and the gender-based violence is a national crisis. Because there was a women's movement who was pushing this forward, and government just was not giving that sort of focus. And why is this so? Coming back, and I speak at many, many events when it comes to women's issues, as from a Vaishnavi perspective, from a ministry perspective, Srila Prabhupada was such a visionary. And at that time, he said there's going to be so many challenges in the world. Let us set up this Vaishnavi. He gave his disciples power. Like Radhanath Swami explains about Kunti Devi. Srila Prabhupada initiated women. Srila Prabhupada allowed them to worship. Srila Prabhupada gave them the power and the knowledge to say, go out, distribute my books, preach. Some of the most eloquent preachers are female disciples of Srila Prabhupada. They speak so well, they took shelter, personal association of Srila Prabhupada. And therefore, when it comes to all these things, the chaotic world that we are living in, it's just because we have ego. We have ego, we have control, we want to become more powerful. Who is it that can raise a hand to another person in this world? Are we allowed to? Do we have the power? We are bringing upon the power by ourselves. There's the most powerful. Krishna is the all-controller. He is the supreme personality. So who is it that as human beings we can actually raise a hand to another human? If we've identified all these prayers from the Bhagavatam, Bhagavad Gita, we see that the super soul, the Paramatma, is there. So when there's this violence against each other, when there's chaos in the world based on gender-based violence and all of that, it is that we are not respecting the Paramatma that's seated in the heart of our fellow human being. So that disrespect is there. So if we're going to live lives like that, it's never going to be successful. Krishna says here, and I loved this just to conclude as well, I loved this at the end of the text ahead of this one. It was actually, Srila Prabhupada explains this beautifully. And it's how Krishna is so kind to his devotees. Lord Krishna is not very pleasing to the demons when he was present in Vrindavan, but the 6 Goswamis were pleasing to the demons when they were present in Vrindavan. That is the beauty of the Lord's dealings with his devotees. Sometimes the Lord gives more credit to his devotees than he takes for himself. For instance, on the battlefield of Kurukshetra, Lord Krishna fought simply by giving directions. Yet, it was Arjuna who took the credit for fighting. You, O Savyasachi, Arjuna, can be but an instrument in the fight. Bhagavad Gita 11:33. Everything was arranged by the Lord, but the credit of the victory was given to Arjuna. Similarly, in the Krishna consciousness movement, everything is happening according to the predictions of Lord Chaitanya. But the credit goes to Lord Chaitanya's sincere servants. Thus the Lord is described herein. So Krishna is kind. He takes no credit. He needs no credit. All we do is surrender to him. He gives us all the intelligence. Surrender with an open heart. Surrender, cry out to him. When we are in anxiety, cry out to him. When we are happy, cry out to him. When we are in distress, cry out to him. When we are in a joyful mood, cry out to him, because the world is full of different emotions. So when we approach the Supreme Personality in this way, he will give us that sidelong glance. The super excellent beauty will be ours. What better way to live in this material world? Everything is there. The vibration of the Srimad Bhagavatam, Gita Jayanti is coming up as well. And I was looking at that beautiful picture of the battlefield of Kurukshetra. And there, Krishna is just fighting. He's fighting the battle just by direction. What does that tell us as human beings? Surrender. He will give us the direction to make our life successful. Nothing more is needed. When we surrender with that heart of devotion, Krishna will instruct. And we follow on those instructions just like that. We see it there. He's done nothing. He's given Arjuna the instructions, the direction. Why? Because Arjuna said, Krishna, you tell me what to do. What is my inclination here? What should I do? This is family, right? And then Krishna gives him the direction. Arjuna follows through, and there is success. So too in our lives, all this beautiful form of Krishna that we are seeing will be revealed to us when we approach him with an open heart. We will see that, we say something is excellent. We watched a movie, what an excellent movie. We read a book, what an excellent book. Oh, it was such a tasty meal. It was an excellent lunch. Here, the Lord is super excellently beautiful, super excellently beautiful. So our vision is there. Let these eyes, let the ignorance of Maya be uncovered with the heart, with the sound vibration, the holy names, devotee association. And when we approach the Supreme Personality, let's take in his super excellent beauty. And Lord Shiva shares with us in his prayer. Lord Shiva himself is so powerful. Imagine he's describing the Supreme Person in this most beautiful way. So we will end here for some comments, questions, reflections, thoughts, sharing. Srimad Bhagavatam, Gantharaj Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, their Lordship Shri Shri Radha Radhanath ki jai. Thank you so much and have a blissful Friday. Hare Krishna.